At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. You're taking a look at the visibility out there this morning, and we certainly are seeing some low visibility in some cases, especially many of the mountain valleys, but even down towards the Chico area in Butte County, we're seeing some low visibility in some cases here. Taking a look at Main Street Chico, in Chico, of course, on Highway 32. There you can see some of the reduced visibility out there. That's one of those days where you don't want to necessarily put on your high beams. You want to put on your low beams so you can see better out there. Pretty low visibility out at Lake Oroville, North Forebay, and the Oroville area also seeing some pretty low visibility as well. Hey, by the way, I want to remind you that, of course, this Friday is going to be the first Cascade Christmas show. Be sure to get your tickets today. They are selling out quickly. November 21st through the 23rd is the first group of showings. And then after that, another group of showings will be the 28th through the 30th. You can go to cascadetheater.org to get your tickets. Well, good morning, everyone. How you doing out there this morning? Hope you had a good start to your day. I was out training Aurora yesterday morning. And, you know, there's a few kinks we need to kind of work out with her studio setup, and she needs to kind of get the ropes. It's a lot different environment when you're working in this digital world and not in the TV world. So there's this transition that she's got to make, and we'll get there. She'll get there. So please have some patience with her as we kind of iron out the kinks, and hopefully within the next several weeks we can really iron all of those out and she can get more familiar with the area, and things will be all great. And as Weather NorCal grows, it allows me to be able to take more time off, right? Quality of life. That's what it's all about. So I want to be able to get that, and she's going to be able to help me with that. And of course, Chase can help me with that on the weekends as well. So we're growing the team, folks. We're growing the team. So excited about that. All right, so what do you say we get to your Krueger's Quick Cash, shall we? And we're going to go ahead and start off with those rainfall totals. I mean, look at this. The last 2 days, saw over an inch in most cases for the valley. That is not the correct number for Redding. It was also closer to, say, I'd say close to 2 inches, actually. 1.79 out in Red Bluff, 2.07 in Chico, 0.38 in Alturas, and about an inch and a half to close to 2 inches out along the coast as well. So where does that put us for the season? Well, I don't think I want to hear anybody complaining about the rain, at least that we need more rain, because we don't at this point. Things are going great. You know, the season for us in California, the rain season starts October 1st. So that's when it started for us. So as of October 1st of this year, when the season started, we are still over 100% of average for almost everyone. In fact, everyone is. And look at Red Bluff, almost 300% of average. So yeah, these are some amazing numbers to see. It's cooling off this morning. And with some of the clearing that we've seen last night in the very saturated ground, that's when we start to see some of that fog, especially for many of those mountain valleys. But cold, 37 out in Alturas this morning. Now out the door tomorrow, how about this morning? There's going to be some of that patchy fog. Now it looks like, oh, it's going to be foggy everywhere. No, it's not that bad. There's going to be some patchy fog for the valley, some fog in the mountain valleys in Trinity County, the North Coast, Modoc County. I'd even say parts of Siskiyou County will see some of that fog, especially western Siskiyou County and those mountain valleys. But the area of low pressure that brought us the rain over the last few days, that's moving down to the south, and it's getting weaker. You can see the cold front pretty much dissipating. You've got more of that trough over Southern California. In the meantime, you can see high pressure is building in closer to us. That's going to mean drier conditions. Also, if you look to the west of that storm system dissipates, but then there's that next storm system that'll be here by the middle of the week, really closer to the latter part of the week as we go into Wednesday night and Thursday. But more on that in the deeper dive forecast here in just a bit. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s for the valley right now. We're in the mid 50s out towards some of the higher elevations for today. And there you can see 57 degrees out in Weberville and mid to upper 50s along the coast. All right, for tonight, yeah, it's going to be cooling off. So here's the thing. As we remove the veil of clouds, which we've done, there's a lot still of moisture in the ground. And so that leaves us with some pretty high humidity levels at the surface. or should I say a lot of moisture. So when you cool things off, you start getting closer to that dew point temperature, and that's when we start seeing the potential for that fog developing. So with these temperatures tonight, that could allow us to see some fog. I'd say even the possibility for some widespread fog for the Sacramento Valley. And then, of course, the mountain valleys in the works. But look at the mountains. I mean, you're dropping below freezing in many cases. So there could be even some frost and some freezing fog maybe in some areas as well. Temperatures in the low 40s tonight for the coast. Taking a look at that 7-day outlook, it's dry today. Now, tomorrow, again, with that added cloud cover, it's going to be much cooler, mid-50s. I think most of us will drive through the day on Wednesday. It's Wednesday evening, Wednesday night that the rain begins to kick in. Thursday's rain, I'd say, is mainly going to be confined in the eastern mountains. We'll take a closer look at that in the deeper dive again too, but I don't expect a lot of rainfall for many of us through the day on Thursday. Most of the rain will be Wednesday night and Thursday. And then after that, it dries out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But notice, even though we're drying things out and high pressure's building in, it's still going to be cool out there. We're really not going to see much of a warm-up in that extended outlook. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast. Hope you all are, if that's all you needed, hope you have a great day. But stick around if you want more details on that approaching storm system and what we expect as we kind of get closer to the holiday week, next week, right? So Lake Oroville looks pretty good out there. You can see not much in the way of fog. However, Lake Oroville North Forebay, different story. We've got some pretty low visibility. In fact, the latest visibility is showing about a quarter of a mile out at Oroville right now. Main Street, Chico, on Highway 32, you can see some of the fog that we're seeing out there. This is Highway 99 at Neal Road. Doesn't look too foggy there, but there is going to be some of that patchy fog, and patchy dense fog at that, for many parts of Butte County this morning. We are still seeing some of those low clouds kind of hanging out towards the Shasta County area. This is Sundial Bridge Drive on Highway 44. Doesn't look too bad with the visibility there. But you can see Crescent City, Harbor District, we do have some low clouds there. No rain right now, but still that soggy ground. Take a look at Bald Hill West, looking down at Hoopa Valley. Just kind of those scattered clouds and overcast skies this morning. That should dissipate later on today. Oh my gosh. That is, excuse me, I'm sorry, but that's just, wow. I didn't see that until we're just looking at it right now. That is beautiful, folks. Look at where we live. Boom. Right in your face. You know, there's a group of meteorologists that are part of the National Weather Network, and we're always communicating with one another. And I was bragging with them 2 weekends ago when I went to Castle Crags and had this beautiful shot of Mount Shasta. Then I went to Manzanita Lake, beautiful shots of Lassen Peak, and they were all just in complete awe. You know, there's like, wow, you live in a beautiful area. And I said, absolutely, I do. I mean, look at that. Whew, I'm sorry. I could look at that all day long. That's just beautiful. All right, so let's move on. Time to get into the forecast here. Look at that, Fort Jones. This is Scott Valley. There it is. Of course, this is what we're seeing in a lot of these mountain valleys, right here, socked in with that fog. But that should quickly erode away later on this morning and this afternoon. And look at that. That's gorgeous too. Nice blanket of snow out there at Lassen Park. Now, this is at 6,700 feet. So, we talked about the high elevation snow. And of course, you saw with Aurora yesterday, she showed this camera, and there was some snow up there. Looks like we saw more snow on top of that after she showed that. Absolutely beautiful. So, and we may see a lot of that melt. We're going to see more snow up there on Thursday. Well, probably, Wednesday night, Thursday. But then as we go to that dry spell, we may see a lot of that melt. However, it may have a hard time doing that because it is going to be a lot cooler out there. Should be interesting. We don't have our pet of the week. That was set from Friday. So there you go. All right. Let's check in with some of you this morning. We've got Jackie Dixon saying, good morning from Trinidad. Good morning to you. So glad you were able to join us yesterday morning. I know you did. You said Aurora did a great job. I think so too. And again, this is... You got to give her some leeway for the next month or so, folks, because this is a big transition. The North State, forecasting for the North State is tricky. And there's several zones, if you will, that we have to forecast for, and it takes a lot of time. So she's kind of got to get in the routine of things. And then, of course, She's dealing with a new weather computer system that she had from her TV station. But the cool thing is she did work for a few years out in Eureka. She worked at the TV station over there. Pretty cool, right? So she does have some familiarity with this area, so it's a little bit easier to kind of grasp the concept. So we're very happy to have her on board. I think she's going to do great, but again, she's kind of got to get into the swing of things, that's for sure. Catherine Schmidt is saying, good morning, chilly, 32 degrees in Castle, and the fog is rolling in at sunrise. We're enjoying your team. Well, thank you, Catherine. Yes, the team is growing. Let's do this, right? And that's just... If you had asked me when I first started Weather NorCal, it was just me, nobody else. I was working 7 days a week, busting my butt to get the forecast out every day. And then I got Chase on, and now I can get even more relief now that I've got Aurora. So yeah, let's get her up to speed and see how it goes. This is exciting. I'm excited. I'm glad you all are excited too. All right, speaking of the growth, and we couldn't do that without our sponsors, right? And Wind River has been the sponsor of Coffee with Krueger since day one. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right. What do you say we get to our...
Frank, come help with the dishes.
What?
The dishes!
I heard it the first time. I just got back from Shasta Hearing Aids, but she doesn't know it yet. What?
Forget it.
All right, so take a look at the visibility out there. As I was mentioning, especially out in Butte County, where we're seeing some of the lowest visibility right now. Now, it shows 0. What this does is it rounds from, I believe... Yeah, I've got to change those settings because it rounds to the nearest 1, right? So it's showing 0 visibility. I'd say it's probably closer to about a quarter to a half a mile of visibility out in parts of Chico and Oroville right now. But you can see much better visibility for places like Red Bluff and Redding, so not as bad as you head northward. And a lot of these mountain valleys, Hayfork, Weaverville, you're seeing some low visibility because a lot of these mountain valleys are also kind of socked in with a lot of that fog this morning. Look at the temperatures. I mean, it certainly is pretty cool out there. Still above freezing in Alturas and Susanville, but you know, it's still pretty cold, right? 32 degrees out in Chester, 35 out in Bernie, 31 for Wairika, and there you can see temperatures in the mid-40s out along the coast here this morning. Now, we look at the rainfall totals. This is the last 24 hours. Once again, I needed to update that. That should be closer to, say, 1.75 inches on average, and we did see over 2 inches out at Chico, but obviously not as much to the north and east, and about 1.5 inches to close to 2 inches for parts of the north coast. Now, that begs the question, how are we doing for the season? Well, as you know, the season for California starts October 1st. So, starting last month it was October, yeah. October 1st is when we tipped the buckets and started with 0. Now, since then, we have seen 6.5 inches of rain at the Redding Airport. That's 182% of average, folks. We are well above normal. And it's not just Redding, it's everybody else. Look at Red Bluff, almost 300% of average. This is great. This is awesome. And you know what? That's also really helping to fill the lakes up a little bit as well. We'll take a look at those lake levels here in just a bit, but I mean, this is just awesome. Now, the area of low pressure that impacted us the last few days, that's moving down to the south. It's weakening, but it is producing some rain in Southern California where they don't need it. Of course, you saw the flooding. They saw the flooding there over the weekend, right? So, you know, this is not good for them to see more rain. Now, what we got here is another storm system. This is what's going to be impacting us by around Wednesday night and into Thursday. So it's going to be more rain than dry. So you can see how that system, as it moves through, it pretty much just breaks apart. Now, what I want to show you here is the positioning. Now, what I want to show you is this. So you see the flow like this, and then it kind of comes around the area of low pressure. If we cut a line right here, this is where the most amount of instability is. On the west side of that, the air is not as unstable, which, as you can see here, as we go midday Thursday, notice where most of the rain is. is to the east of the valley. Now, there may be still a little bit off the coast here, but because there still is some instability within here, especially as these disturbances kind of ride down. However, this is where most of that instability is. And that's why the positioning of this is going to be key. Because if we shift this a little bit more to the west, now that rain is over the valley, right? So it's going to be one of those, it could be a very easy bust forecast, bottom line. Now, that will unfortunately bring more rain toward the end of the week for places like Southern California. And it looks like some good rain, unfortunately, that they don't need. But it starts to dry out for us starting Friday through the weekend, and then this storm system right here is going to approach and basically move through the Pacific Northwest. That will clip Northern California. That's what it looks like for now, but that's not until Monday of next week, right? So we got to get through, obviously, Wednesday night, Thursday. Once we get past that, we're mainly dry, and that's what the extended outlook is looking like. All right, so let's zoom it in here. Let's walk you through the timing of the next storm system. So you can see the dry conditions out there for today, absolutely gorgeous. We're even seeing some clearing skies for the coast. But look at this. You see that fog really filling in for the valley. Again, the science behind this is simple, right? We've got all that rain that we've seen. If you've been walking at all in any grassy areas, you know what I'm talking about. It's very sloshy, right? You can just hear the slushy water underneath you. There's that. What that tells us is the ground is very saturated. That is also higher moisture content at the lower levels. So when we have clear skies like we're going to see tonight, that allows our temperatures to drop down into what we call the dew point temperature. And then what happens is we start to see these clouds and low clouds in the fog develop. So this is why I do expect to see the potential to see some widespread fog for tomorrow morning, which will then, as you see here, start to erode away. However, this is going to be right before the next storm system moves in. So through the day on Wednesday, chances for rain increase for at least the north coast. But even at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, still not a lot going on. The main band is still off to our west. So, as I mentioned, it's going to be a Wednesday night event. Here's midnight Thursday, still the bulk of the rain to the west of the valley, but we're still seeing some prefrontal showers moving in advance of that. Now, the winds will pick up for a brief period of time as the cold front passes through. Nothing major. I don't expect any power outages, but we are going to see some periods of moderate to heavy rainfall overnight, early Thursday, or overnight Wednesday into early Thursday morning. Then look at this. So remember, we were talking about the positioning of that area of low pressure. Most of the instability through the day on Thursday, as you can see, is to the east. But if we shift that low a little bit more to the west, now the valley's seeing some of the rain. So we got to really keep that chance for showers for really everyone through the day on Thursday. But as you can see, especially by Thursday evening, Thursday night, we're done. We're done with it. And we are going to dry things out even through the day on Friday, this weekend. And as I mentioned, that clipping system on Monday, but that shouldn't have much impact either. And look at this forecast snow totals. It's not much. You see the lighter shades of blue here. That's what, a trace to upwards of maybe 4 inches of snow above 6,000 feet, really. Now, snow levels on Thursday and really Wednesday night into Thursday could drop to as low as 5,000 feet. So that means places like Scott Mountain Pass in Trinity County, right, on Highway 3, maybe some snow. Also Cedar Pass in between El Turris and Cedarville, and some of the eastern mountains, right? But look at even the northern Sierra here as we get closer to South Lake Tahoe, a lot of light shades of blue. So that's, again, a trace to upwards of maybe 4 inches of snow. So minimal impacts when we're talking about if you are traveling to Tahoe, especially on Thursday, you may run into, say, above 6,000, 7,000 feet, maybe some snow. I would not anticipate a lot of chain requirements, but just be prepared for that, especially for Wednesday night into Thursday. Look at the precipitation outlook here. Again, I was talking about the longer range looks drier, and the Climate Prediction Center is picking up on that. Drier than normal to our south, but near normal for us. And then to the north of that, wetter than normal. So we're kind of in that little transition phase here between the drier and wetter conditions. So overall, I just don't see a lot of rainfall after Wednesday night, Thursday. But despite the fact that we're going to see drier conditions, we're not going to warm up a whole lot. Yes, we are going to climb up above normal for Friday, Saturday. That's going to be nice. But then we see a dip in our temperatures. And a lot of times when we see temperatures drop, especially this time of the year, that can typically be associated with a storm system that brings rain with it too. But that's not the case here. We're just going to be looking at cooler temperatures. So that's Thursday of next week. That's Thanksgiving Day, folks. So it's going to be a little chilly out there. At least that's what it looks like. That's the trend is showing right now. Looking at the wave heights here for today, it's still a little high this morning. That's why there's a small craft advisory at least this morning. That will be allowed to expire most likely this afternoon. And the wave heights dropping through the day tomorrow. So there's that small craft advisory again this morning. North winds at about 20 to 25 knots. But as mentioned, and as you saw there, those wave heights are going to start to drop a bit. So we take a look at our neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. For today, yeah, there you can see those temperatures up mid to upper 50s here for Trinity County. Now, snow levels have got you around 5,000 feet. But that's not going to impact any of your travel here on Highway 299, on Highway 3, though. Right, out towards Scott Mountain Pass, yes, you may see some snow up there Wednesday night, Thursday. Temperatures low 50s for today, though, for places like Mad River, 54 degrees for Forest Glen. Now, for the North Coast neighborhood forecast, temperatures mid to upper 50s for your daytime highs, 55 out in Honeydew, 56 in Ferndale, 55 out in Hydesville, Rio Dell about 53 degrees, and looks like 56 in Fortuna. And taking up to the north, 58 degrees for Trinidad, Eureka 56, and you're going to see some of that fog this morning, but that should dissipate. A lot of those mountain valleys, too. 55 out in Klamath, 55 degrees for Orick, and Gasquet, about 54. Your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures for I-5, somewhere in the low to mid-50s, Highway 96 in the upper 50s. Taking a look at Scott Valley this morning. You're socked in with fog this morning, but that should dissipate here and burn off later on today. Temperatures low 50s for you today in Scott Valley. Low 50s out towards Weed, 57 in McLeod, and 51 degrees in Tule Lake. And for Modoc County, pretty chilly out there today, only reaching the low to mid 50s, 5,500 foot elevation with that snow. So again, Cedar Pass may be impacted. 59 out towards Montgomery Creek, 55 for Shingletown, Paynes Creek about 58. For Lake Almanor and Lassen Park, you've got temperatures in the low 50s for most of you around the lake for today, 54 degrees in Chester. Take you down to the south, 54 degrees for Paradise, 53 in Greenville, looks like Susanville about 54, and Mineral 52. Let's take you down to the valley here. Sponsored by Dignity Health with those temperatures upper 50s to low 60s for your daytime highs. So, I mean, yeah, it's dry, but it's not warming up a whole lot, is it? I mean, around 60 for Chico, 57 on Wednesday, and then there's that rain coming in Wednesday night and into Thursday. All right, take you up to the north. 65 degrees for Redding as well as, and it's still a little bit warmer to the north. 63 degrees for Lakehead and 62 degrees for Whiskeytown. So there's your 7-day forecast for Redding. Those temperatures in the mid 50s for Wednesday, Thursday, and then we're back up in the mid to upper 60s. So yeah, it's warming up a little bit here, but still on the cool side, if you will. That's above normal, by the way, Friday, Saturday. And then we're back down below normal by the end of the weekend and into early next week as well. All right, that's going to do it for us this morning. Let's check in with some of you, see how you're doing this morning. We got, we were talking about Aurora and how she's doing, and some of you have been kind of chiming in on that. And I appreciate that. I think it's great. I love it when you all feel interactive and you can feel like you can share. And so Jackie's saying, I'm sure it's very technical. Definitely different. She will get her bearings. I agree with you. I think she will. I think she's going to do just great. It's, I want to show you something here. You might be able to see it. Maybe. No, it's too far. Anyway, there's a control panel that I have here that I have all these buttons. And you've got to set it just right. If you push the button and the setting isn't right, then everything gets all messed up. Microphone here, audio there, wrong camera, wrong this, right? And so you've got to set that all up just right. And then she's got to get used to that. She's got to know which button to push, when and where, and all that stuff, right? And making sure she's aware that her microphone is on. Making sure that if there is any audio, that's also running as well. You see, when you're in TV, you just go up to the green wall, they take care of your audio, they make sure everything's working properly. All you have to do is present the weather, right? But now, in the digital world here, I present the weather, but I also control everything that you see as well and hear. So it gets tricky. So she's going to have to get used to that, and she will. I think she'll be just fine. Curtis Brown sharing something here. Look at this. He says, good morning, Mike and everyone. Measured 4.04 since last Wednesday night. Now, that's just west of Red Bluff. That is very impressive. That is awesome. He said Sunday night, Monday morning was crazy in Trinidad. The storm on the bluffs was intense. I can imagine it was probably windy and wet and rainy and the works. So certainly appreciate you sharing that and sharing your experience. I hope you had fun at least, right? I hope you had fun out there. And I warned you, right? Remember last week I said, hey, it's going to be pretty wet there in Trinidad. But you knew, and pretty cool. I think you were fishing. I would assume maybe you were fishing out there. Looks like a lot of fun out there. Well, that's going to do it for us this morning, folks. Thank you all for chiming in this morning, and thank you for, again, understanding that Aurora, it's going to be some time for her to grow and to really get this system down. So again, we're still going to be working closely to make sure that she can really grasp everything and get it going. So I'm excited to get her going. I'm excited for everything to get going here and the growth that we're seeing here at Weather NorCal. Well, what do you say? Is there a reason why? See, again, me controlling everything, and sometimes things just don't work the way you want them to. So there you go. Even I have these technical issues as well. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us this morning. Hope you have yourselves a great Tuesday. So, in part of the training process, we're going to have Aurora work again tomorrow. I'm going to be working with her closely to make sure that everything goes okay, but do note that there may be some technical issues that you'll be dealing with here during the live show. But obviously the things that we record and do behind the scenes, we can make sure that we put out the best product that we can for you. So that's going to do it for us for today. You'll see Aurora tomorrow morning. I will be back again on Thursday, and we'll see how things go, see if she can do Friday for us. And then hopefully next week she's up to speed that I can take the entire week off next week. We'll see. We'll see. But I am going to have all of my gear with me when I go to Mexico in case something goes wrong, in case something goes haywire. We can set shop up, and I can do that. You've seen me do that before, right? So it should be fun. All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, no, we'll see you will see Aurora tomorrow morning. I will see you Thursday morning. Have a great day.